It isn't every day that you get to live out your dreams. And when we have persons who have had the opportunity to dream from as small as an infant to a grown man, they have done wonderful things in making that a reality. Welcome to Positive Profiles. I'm Kimberly Ski. And today I have with me pilot Alair Tudor.
Thank you for having me.
Bajan born and bred.
Yes.
Touchy
Very much
flesh.
so.
I'm impressed, first of all. Young pilot doing wonderful things. But I want you to take us back a little bit, maybe a lot more than a little bit. How long did you want to become a pilot? Most boys dream of flying planes. But did yours start there?
Mine started very, very early on. So as far back as I can remember, I think the very first trip I had was to Orlando. This was Disney World, so that was a thing in itself, right? My dad was studying abroad in Atlanta, and he brought myself and my mom up there. And I believe back then it was on a BWIA plane going up to Miami. And I remember getting in the back of this thing, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, you know, and seeing the flight crew getting stuff done, they're flipping switches, they're doing. I'm a kid, I'm a young kid at this time, but it made such an impression on me. And it's like, who does this? What is this? You know, it's like, oh, it's a pilot. It's pilots that fly it. Oh, okay, I want to be a pilot. And my mom back then would be, oh well, okay, he's gonna grow out of it. You know, you want to be a police officer, you want to be a firefighter, whatever. And I just say, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. From primary school days, you could talk to my old teachers back at Erdeson Primary.
Wow.
And they would tell you, I relate all these stories of me running around the yard like an airplane and saying, I want to be a pilot. And that was my goal from then. And it's funny now, looking back, I'm 37 years of age. It was a long journey of over 30 years. And I still feel young, and I started to then look back and say, wow, I've actually made it. You know, I take it for granted a little bit, getting in the cockpit, setting up, doing stuff. And every now and again, I'll return back and say, this is what I always wanted to do. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Wow. Now, something as important as taking that leap of faith from I want to be a pilot to actually getting that opportunity. I understand that at the time when you were interested in actively pursuing this, the scholarships were like 1 in 10 individuals could be chosen. So how did that make you feel, and how did you grasp that opportunity from there on at that point?
So the scholarship that I got, this was back when I went to University of Monroe in the United States. This is in Louisiana. And what I tell guys now is that there are people who are looking. You know, you have to make yourself available. The opportunities are out there. They might not look as though you can't see them, but you have to make yourself ready for the opportunity. So back in Barbados, we didn't have a whole lot of scholarships that you could go for. You have the national scholarship, you know, if you get a number of CXCs, you're able to get through. And I mean, that was a little bit beyond my ability at the time. But upon going to the States, there were many opportunities available for you. You have to make sure you find those opportunities and then make yourself available for them. So I knew if I worked hard and studied hard, get my grades the way I needed them to be, I can write that letter. I can make that, make sure people know, okay, well, this is what this guy is about, and he has a long road of excellence. Let's help him on that journey a little bit. So when I was able to write that essay saying, hey, this is where my background is from. I'm from Barbados. I always want to be a pilot. This is what I want to do with the scholarship. And I put that in words, in the word form. They thought the journey was something they want to be part of as well. So that's how I ended up. From a little school, actually, we were, for University of Monroe, it'd be kind of big for Barbados, but in terms of the student, I'm going up for the school, I was going up against places like, every pilots will know about this, Embry-Riddle, Flight Institute of Florida Institute of Technology, large institutions, and I was able to get that scholarship, and that aided me to get to where I'm at, obviously.
Now that is what we call passion. What passion keeps you going today?
I still know like there are people who are counting on me, and there are folks in this country that every time we talked about it earlier, they hear my accent on the radio.
Yes.
They hear my accent from the flight deck. And there are many people in the back, they hear it as well. The guys that live in New York, live in Miami. That's a Bajan pilot. So you have to exude excellence in everything you do, because you know there are guys who are watching you and making sure you put off the best attitude as possible. And because what they're going to judge you on is not Alair Tudor or not anybody. It's going to judge on, there's a Bajan pilot up there, and that guy was awesome. That was an amazing guy. And I want to make sure that when people look back on my career, they can look back and say, oh, that was an excellent pilot. That was a guy who was very passionate about his job and worked hard.
Wow. Any advice for young boys or girls out there
Of course.
who see this as just a dream and they would love it to become a reality?
I do want to shout out to the women pilots out there as well. We have plenty of African American female pilots that are really making inroads into the industry, and so I want to make sure they are also getting the same advice. But if you do have that passion, make sure that every day you're working towards it. So you might be in a stage right now where you don't feel as though I have that end goal. A lot of children nowadays, they're looking at it and say, well, I want it now. I want stuff now. I tell guys, my journey, although I'm young, my journey took somewhat 20 years to get there. But I have to have a plan from the beginning, and you have to go, okay, well, this is this step. What's the next step? What's the next step? Keep moving forward. I relate back to old days. I worked with my dad at the Ministry of Public Works for a little while, and that was a clerical job. I had my pilot's license, but there was no jobs available to fly. But I still saw that as an opportunity that, hey, well, let's get experience in management. Let's get experience in everything, so that way, if I do get to the next stage, if I do become a pilot, maybe I could use those skills towards the flying stuff as well, working interpersonal relationships, all that stuff. I see everything as an opportunity to work yourself forward to your end goal.
I love that, working ourselves forward. Now, before we land this plane,
Of course.
how do you think your father would feel seeing you at this stage? I know he's no longer with us, but how do you think he'd feel about your journey?
I think he'd be very proud. He's, and luckily, I'm very happy he was able to kind of see the culmination of my career, seeing me upgrade to captain at a U.S. major. That was something he always wanted to see, and I know that's something that he was very, very proud of. When I went to his office, he always saw pictures of me on the wall. So anytime people came in and they'll ask a question, wait, that's your son? I know I've heard these stories many times of him relating these long stories of, well, this is what he's doing in the States. It's like, well, I just came in to ask a question. So he's very, very proud. I tell guys he was my first passenger. When as soon as I got my license, he said, oh, let's go to the plane, let's go and fly. And he had faith in me that I would be able to do it, no problem. You know, I know he didn't have any qualms that I would be able to do it. So he was my first passenger. On first day, I wasn't able to take him up on the larger airplanes, but I still know he's looking down, and I know he's proud of everything that's been happening, everything I've been doing.
Wow, a commercial pilot, no less. Flying, I understand that you have to fly on out of here pretty soon, too.
Yeah, back up to the States and back to the cold.
Wow. But just before you go, a little bird told me you got a Bugatti.
Ooh, not a Bugatti. I got some toys.
You got some toys?
But not a Bugatti.
Not a Bugatti. We'll keep that under the wraps.
Yeah.
Alair Tudor, it certainly has been a pleasure chatting with you. I know that it's practically time to fly, literally. And as a commercial pilot, I know that you've got, you know, a long destination, sometimes long journeys or stops here and there. Where to next?
Well, back home, so I'm planning to get my mom, and we're going to go back up to my small little town of Monroe, Louisiana. That's where I live currently. So it's up to Atlanta and then across to Monroe. Got a little bit of time off and then start back work again. Fly all around the continental United States, Mexico, and Canada, and a couple of places in Latin America as well.
Wow.
But yeah, nothing in Europe yet, but that could change soon.
Sounds good. As you said, you're going to keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward every day.
Alair, there's so many different careers to choose from. You mentioned that after you finished your pilot's license, you couldn't get a job and you worked in clerical. But just before you got to the point of becoming qualified, the certification, why did you really want to get into becoming a pilot, knowing that this is a long journey?
There's a feeling that you get, and I don't know how to best put it into words, but that feeling of getting to the end of the runway, you power up the engines, and you steam down the runway, and then you take flight. That feeling is unmatched by anything, and that's something I always loved. From even the back of the aircraft, and now in the front of the aircraft is even more. I'm controlling this thing. I'm pulling it into the air. This is something that for a century people haven't been able to dream of. And now we're doing it. We're taking it for granted that the plane is getting lift and you're flying. And there's a emotion you get once you're in flight as well, looking down on the world. It's a bit of peacefulness that you feel up there as well. Those feelings are things that I love to feel over and over again. So, and those emotions, that's the only thing I can get in flying, I find. There are guys who love their professions. There's, people who get the same exhilaration from doing boating, doing racing. That's where I feel my best, is when I'm in the air.
Wow. You've been watching Positive Profiles. Today, Alair Tudor. Tomorrow, it could be you. I'm Kimberly Ski. Glad you could join us.